what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Today we're going to talk about one of the best nukers slash debuffers inside the entire game. That's right, it is Zargala. Zargala is an orc Force Affinity champion. Let's go ahead and take a look at her. We're going to talk about why she's so good, how to gear her up in today's video, talk about her masteries, talk about her skills a little bit, and then try her out in a couple different dungeons for today's video. So this is Zargala. I don't know, she's got a look about her. You think she's, I want to keep this classy, but you think she's real or fake? I'm going to go with fake on Zargala. On the A1, attacks one enemy, has the weaken, right? So the strong version of weaken on the A1. On the crack armor on the A3, she has a strong version of decreased defense. So the first thing we talk about when we talk about Zargala is she has both of the big debuffs in her kit, which is something that is very, very valuable in this game, okay? Being a debuffer on your team, providing a ton of extra damage out of your other nukers and all your other champions really on your squad. So on her A1, attacks one enemy, 50% chance of placing the 25% weaken debuff for one turn. That is the strong version. Weak version of weaken is 15%. So it is only for one turn, but at the end of the day, still better than nothing. Nice to have that debuff on the A1. On the A2, very unique. Devastate. Attacks one enemy and then instantly activates the A3, the crack armor ability, if she kills that enemy. This is on a 2-turn cooldown. So essentially with her kit, crack armor's on a 4-turn cooldown. We'll talk about that in a second. But essentially, she's going to be doing a lot of devastates going into the weaken, the A1, and then every other turn on top of that, she'll have the crack armor. If she kills anybody with devastate, she'll instantly activate crack armor. And when she instantly activates crack armor, it's going to happen immediately, and it's not going to affect the cooldown of crack armor otherwise, okay? Now, the bad news about Zargala is books are pretty much mandatory if you really want to get the true potential out of this champion. Now, I have a list of 10 or so epic champions that books are really not required. Some champions that are better without books, I'll include a link to that video in the show notes below for you guys to check out after this one if you're interested. So attacks all enemies 3 times, so 3 waves of AoE attacks. Each one of these waves, and this is why books are so important, it goes from a 50% chance to a 75% chance of landing the big version of decreased defense, and it takes it from a 5-turn cooldown to a 4-turn cooldown. So with 75% chance on 2 waves, because the first wave does not count after the first hit, has a 50% chance or 75% chance of landing there, she's going to be a very, very consistent defense down champion when she is booked. 2 chances at that 75% chance of landing that decreased defense. Her aura is just kind of meh. Accuracy in all battles, you don't really use that too often on Zargala unless you have another champion that you prefer, unless you have no other champions for your aura lead, you can use her in that case. Masteries, as we always mention here, let me move myself over a little bit here, hang out in the middle under the defense. Masteries, as we always mention, it's going to be dependent on where you're using this champion. My Zargala is in a non-arena build right now, and non-clan boss. We'll talk about clan boss in a second in Zargala. You really, she caps out at around brutal, but we'll talk more about that in good time. So this is a dungeon build, right? You're going to want War Master on her. If you're using her only for the arena, I would say go with Helm Smasher in Savage Gear or Cruel Gear if you have it, okay? You have another option too of going with Flawless Execution. Me personally, as a general rule, I usually go with Helm Smasher and Savage Gear if I have the gear, if you have the gear. On my nukers, unless they are damage based on max HP champions, in that case, I go with Flawless Execution. So really the choice is yours, guys. As we mentioned in yesterday's video, don't just copy paste blindly your masteries with any champion. So support tree, I think that is very important to end with Master Hexer and with a Sniper. Sniper's going to improve the 75% chance defense down to an 80% chance on both hits of defense down. That's really important on your Zargala. And then the Master Hexer is going to have a chance of extending the duration of the defense down and the weaken on her kit. Other than that, I always love Evil Eye on my champions, and Lower of Steel if you have basic sets on them. Obviously, if you had Savage Gear on your Zargala, you're not going to probably want to go with Lower of Steel. Instead, just go with Cycle of Magic, having a 5% chance of decreasing this cooldown of that cracked armor ability. So going on to the artifacts, how I have her built out here, guys, I apologize, I do have her in high-end artifacts, but really I'm going to talk about the kind of the themes here that you want to be looking out for when you're equipping or kind of gearing out and building your Zargala. So she does need accuracy. I say around 10 accuracy per dungeon level, so I'm using her in level 20 dungeons. I want around 200 accuracy on her. The higher, the better with accuracy. I have her at 207, which is going to get the job done. I'm sitting in front of Zargala right now. My bad. So other than that, guys, prioritizing accuracy, speed, crit rate 100%, crit damage as high as possible, and a little emphasis on attack. Now let's talk about some caveats, right? So speed boots, I always go speed boots no matter what on Zargala. You want her to go faster than the other nukers on your team, setting up for the big damage dealers with her defense down and later on her weaken. So having her as fast as possible is going to be important. Don't sacrifice speed on your Zargala. Let's actually start with accuracy banner. Probably going to be what you want to go with. Accuracy banner, crit damage on the amulet, probably what you're going to want to go with. I went with attack sub-rolls on my ring. You guys can do the same if you want to optimize damage. If you're having trouble with her dying a lot, certainly sub in a defensive ring with a defensive substat instead. It won't make a dramatic impact on her damage, so don't stress too much about that. On her chest, I went with attack, and again, if you have a reviver on your team, if you have Scylla the Drakes, you can oftentimes get by with going attack percentage on all of your nukers and debuffers because she'll pick them up if they die. Even if that does not work, or if you don't have a reviver on your team, maybe a Reliquary Tender, maybe a Gorgorab, champion like that that can revive if some of your squishier champions happen to go down, maybe because of bad RNG or whatever, or if you're just struggling with progression in dungeon, certainly go with a defense or an HP chest in that place. You want to go crit rate or crit damage in your gauntlets. I went crit damage because I was able to get my crit rate from other artifacts, and then basically we talked about all the other priorities in terms of what we're looking for when we're building out a successful, an OP Zargala. So in terms of ratings, Arena, she's a beast. Spider, she's good. When you get to like Spiders 18, 19, 20, might taper off a little bit. Just keep that in mind. Dragon's Lair, she's S tier, 5 out of 5. She's one of the best champions for Dragon's Lair in the game with a proper affinity matchup, landing those debuffs and doing a ton of damage in the process. She's really good pretty much anywhere. She has a 3.7 in Clan Boss, kind of whatever. She's all right in Ice Golem's Peak. On Ice Golem 20, it's a negative affinity matchup, so you're really not using her a ton there. Fire Knight, she's a 3.4. Man, that's crazy. She's great for Fire Knights. People get so attached to, if they're not a multi-hitter, I gotta rank them a 1 in Fire Knights. That's not the case, man. You only need like 3 multi-hitters on their A1s. You can use Zargala as your debuffer for Fire Knights and helping out in terms of damage against the waves, and you're gonna do just fine, okay? So Zargala's great in Fire Knight as well. She's great in the arena. Let's go ahead and show her off in a couple dungeons here, guys. Dragon's Lair first. Let's go to Dragons 20. This team right here is, I can't say free to play, but it's pretty accessible. You know, we have a Cold Heart here. We do have an Apothecary. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. We do have Kale and Scylla the Drakes, who is a daily login reward and a starting champion, and of course Zargala. So let's go ahead and see how we do here. I like running Apothecary in the lead. That helps with the defense. Plus 21% defense is really, really valuable. A great aura lead to have on any team. If you're having, again, struggling with progression in any dungeon, considering putting Apothecary as a lead. He'll help you with speed, he'll help you with spot heals, and of course that defense is going to help out a ton on his aura. So here we go. I have actually not paying attention to her damage so far, but first wave, this team should be running, and here it is right there. Instantly activated the cracked armor. You guys saw what happened there. She used, I think this is the Devastate ability, the A2, I forgot the name, Devastate? And then boom, cracked armor activated right afterwards. It didn't pay huge dividends on that first wave there. There was only one other champion alive, but you guys get the point, right? And her damage is pretty decent. So again, there it is, 58k, and then boom, 3 hits of around 10 to 15k each if I have my if I looked fast enough there. So you guys can see the point, man. She's really valuable, not just as a debuffer, but also as a nuker on your team. Great kind of dual purpose on this ability. And again, she just got it there. Another proccing from the Devastate onto the cracked armor ability. We're already at the Dragon. This team is a 2-minute Dragon 20 team. Very, very good, right? Very solid. And success rate, 100%. Again, because if we get bad RNG, I saw in the first wave there, I forgot who it was, maybe it was Kale. Somebody was low on HP, and if Apothecary couldn't get there for a heal, well, that's why we have still the Drakes to pick him right back up. No problem if anybody dies because of bad RNG on this run. And then again, as I mentioned, we do have the spot heals here from Apothecary. So just a really, really solid dragon team here. We got a weak hit there from Coulthart, otherwise this battle would already be over. But you're seeing how valuable, especially on the waves, but even against the dragon here with the defense down and the weaken, she is on your team. She finishes with 1.1 million damage, second damage dealer behind Coulthart, and Kale got most of his damage from those poisons. But the MVP in terms of the debuffs and in terms of the damage on the waves was certainly Zargala. So that's what Zargala can do for you guys on your account. Let's go ahead and check her out in Fire Knight, guys. I want to try to prove myself right in terms of her being viable. This is a pretty solid team as well. We have a couple Cold Hearts and an Apothecary, 3 multiple hitters on their A1s, and then again we have the defense down with Stag Knight and the attack down. I like having an attack down as well for Fire Knight because sometimes it might take these waves, excuse me, can prove issues. They do hit pretty hard, so I like having kind of Zargala in more of a nuking role rather than being our only debuffer on this team. So this team's going to be this time we don't have a reviver on, right? So we have to be a little bit more careful in terms of having maybe a defense up champion or another decrease attack champion, such as Stag Knight on the team. Man-Eater, you know, characters like that will help you out as well. Man-Eater is great, by the way, for Fire Knight because he has Siphon, Siphon ability on his A2, which actually removes all turn meter from the opponent and adds it to his turn meter. That helps out a lot against the Fire Knight. So here we go, second wave. And then that's our 8-3 again right there. You know, it's hitting for around 30 to 45k total damage per time. That's not bad at all. And there it goes again. Devastate into cracked armor. Again, I'm seeing maybe close to 40k or higher even on the A3. And Devastate hits like a truck. I'm seeing 58, 60k around on the A2 on Zargala. That's really, really nice. So here we go into the Fire Knight, and this is just going to be depending on the RNG. I'm not sure which Coulthart's going to have their Heartseekers up. Unfortunately, we aren't able to get that shield down on the first turn, but no worries. Hopefully we'll get it on the second turn. Let's see. No Heartseeker, no Heartseeker, no Heartseeker. Perfect. So this should be game, set, match here, guys. I think Heartseeker is going to be up right now. There it is. And Heartseeker number 2 should be up pretty soon as well. And just like a really solid team, and a lot of that is coming from the hard work and dedication of our Zargala on this team, right? So here we go. I think maybe around I don't know, around a 2:30 team or so. She doesn't help out a ton. Well, there's the War Master proc, so, you know, 110,000 damage, not too bad, right? And that's why War Master does help us out against dungeon bosses. She is, admittedly, maybe a little bit on the weaker side against bosses. I did mention I was going to talk about Clan Boss, so having that War Master is actually going to help her out a lot on Clan Boss and against bosses. You saw it there, you know, turning that 70k into 110k. It's going to add up and help out against bosses. Let's go ahead and talk really quickly. I'm not going to show you a Clan Boss battle, but I do think that you can get by with her, especially if she's with a Skull Crusher, a counterattack champion, a Valkyrie if you're lucky enough to have one. The reason I like Skull Crusher with her, though, is her defense is not high. So she will die, especially as you get into Brutal Nightmare and especially Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss. So if you pair her with a champion like Skull Crusher, you're going to get both the counterattack to help that weaken stay up there against the Clan Boss, right, which is really valuable as a debuff. But more than that, you're going to have the Ally Protect. So kind of like a Sandlash Survivor or a, you know, there's a bunch of champions out there that you could use as an example, but having some sort of an Ally Protect or sustainability to help her out, a nice shield again from Valkyrie, if you're that lucky to have a Valkyrie, is going to go a long way to making her a little bit more viable on the higher difficulty clan bosses. So guys, that is my guide for Zargala. Let me know if you have this champion. If you do, you know, where do you play her? Do you love her? Again, I didn't mention her too much in Arena in this video, but she's great for the Arena, especially Arena speed teams throughout Gold and not really into Platinum, but up to Gold 3, certainly Gold 4. She can be a great speed nuker and debuffer for your Arena teams as well. Again, I would go Helm Smasher, personal preference, if you are going to use her in that regard. So guys, thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. I appreciate you guys, and as always, take care, guys.